Let's hear what Alan Dershowitz had to say about it. And keep in mind, Alan Dershowitz is a lifelong liberal. He says he's not going to vote for Trump. He hasn't voted for him in the past. He's not going to vote for him next time, but he just wants to be able to actually vote against him. One of the few people on the left that actually does have any principles. And now they've actually excommunicated him from the left, by the way. I guess because he's actually like a traditional liberal, and they hate that. So now he's lost all of his lefty friends, but he continues. Let's take a look.
Case, but this tells us so much about the politicization of our justice system, the weaponization of our system, and it's so dangerous because it will mean that business people are not going to want to run for office because they know if they run for office, partisans are going to go after them, investigate them, figure out some way of getting them, like overvaluing. This is a judge which overevaluates when he wants to, $350 million for no damage, then underevaluates when he wants to, Mar-a-Lago $18 million. He's just willing to manipulate the numbers to get him to the result he wanted. I hope the courts will look at this with a very, very, very stringent eye.
Yeah, I mean, the politicization is obvious, right? This, again, they've never prosecuted somebody for this before. This is just a made-up crime. No victims. It's a made-up crime. It couldn't be more transparent that this is simple political persecution. Let's see. Jay Lefebvre says, the Dems and Libs are the most corrupt in my lifetime. So yeah, the Democrats and like the Liberal Party in Canada, absolutely. It's not just that too, it's incompetence as well. I would say that the Liberal Party of Canada is even more incompetent, to be honest. Invin says, I speak to so many people who get their info from sources like CNN. Yes, they do. They don't get alternative news. It feeds itself. It's an echo chamber, yeah. They won't hear or listen to this perspective or any other view. No, they're trained not to. That's an excellent point there. Excellent point. They're trained not to because it's the left and progressivism, wokeism, whatever you want to call it, it is like a religion now, right? And they have things like original sin, which is white privilege. And they have heretics, which is anybody who doesn't agree with them. They have apostates. That's anybody who just stops and goes, well, that doesn't make any sense. Anybody who was part of their clique, anybody who was part of their cult who just goes, well, I don't know about this whole sex changes for kids thing. Now they're an apostate. They're actually more vicious to them than anybody else. I think they are seen as the greatest threat to them, to be honest. Let's see. Jay Hemp says, good to see you're still bringing awareness to the clown world we now live in. Big salute to you from Ohio. Well, a big salute to you as well, sir. Jay Lefebvre says, I sent $20. Thanks for the great channel. Thank you very much, sir. In fact, that gets another clap. That was $20 worth of claps right there. Thank you very much. So I guess I better keep moving on. So, yeah, I agree with I tend to trust Alan Dershowitz as being an objective view on this stuff. Because again, he's not a Republican. He's not a conservative. He's a Democrat. He said he's going to vote for Joe Biden if Joe Biden's the nominee, regardless. But he does seem to be principled, and it's cost him a lot in his, personally, in his personal life, lifelong friends. He's been excommunicated from his whole group. So I think he's a fairly trusted source. And also just when you look at the bare facts of this, it's absurd. And then you think about, it's almost like it's so reckless. He was talking about their businesses in New York. Well, you got to think right now, there's a lot of people thinking about moving their businesses out of New York, big companies, because it's just open season on them. If it's deemed to be politically expedient to go after them, they're going to go after them. If you are deemed to be a heretic in some way, they're going to go after you and they're going to get you. Right? Look at with this Trump case, right? It was a summary judgment. He wasn't even allowed to defend himself. The judge just said, no, you're guilty right from the start. And then it just went to, well, how much is he going to have to pay? Now, it sounds very much like this is going to be thrown out on appeal. And you would think so, but who knows? Elon Musk said, Well, he slammed the New York court ordering President Trump to pay $354 million. He said, no victims. Well, let's take a look at the quote directly here. Said, given that there were no victims with losses, who is supposed to receive the money, the $354 million? And I understand it's actually even more than that. So who is supposed to receive the money? Well, I guess the state just gets it, right? Because there's no victim. Think about how absurd that is. So in this case, the state can just say there's no victim, but they can just sue. They can just take somebody to court on behalf of somebody who says there's no crime, get hundreds of millions of dollars from a private citizen from his business, and just take it. I mean, it's just this is what you would expect from a banana republic.